Welcome to Vibe Querying with MCP, the show where we don't just query data, we vibe with it. I'm Jared, the one asking, how does it work?
And I'm Marie, the one asking, what does it mean for the business? And before we jump into today's episode 2, we're going to do a quick explanation of the technologies we're using and what you can expect today.
Yeah, and so that really starts with MCP, or Model Context Protocol, the standard released by Anthropic that allows LLMs to interact with external services.
And the way that you use MCP with your data sources is with an MCP server. And what we'll be using in the show and the series is CData's MCP servers, which we released about 2 weeks ago in beta. And it's a way to connect your favorite LLM like Claude, ChatGPT, Gemini to that enterprise data source so that you can actually ask questions of your data.
Yeah, and asking questions is what we're calling vibe querying. Vibe coding allows you to use natural language to create applications and services. It's wild. The newest models, I just read an article today, are saying that you can vibe code and give a prompt, and the agent or the chat will code independently for 7 hours, which is just wild to me. So our goal is to get there with querying. So we, are able to ask natural language questions of the systems that we're working with, whether that's a CRM or an ERP or anything else, and just vibe with the data and allow the LLM to use its vast knowledge base to produce some real answers for us.
And that's what we'll do in each of these episodes in the show, is that we will take our MCP servers, given data sources, and a given topic, and oftentimes a special guest, and walk through how you could use vibe querying in the real world. And that's what we'll do today. So let's get querying.
So today's episode, Vibing with Product Managers, is about exploring what's driving customer support cases. We're asking for answers from Salesforce data, taking the point of view of a product manager looking for ways to improve customer experience and reduce support cases.
Our guest this episode is Jacqueline Wands, who just joined us on stage. She's a director of product management for our CData Sync and DVAM products. Welcome to the show, Jacqueline. Are you ready to vibe?
I'm excited.
Most challenging part is spelling Claude.
Yeah. Now we'll jump into our vibe querying project, and we'll get started. So Marie and Jacqueline, I'm going to be the typer. You guys just have your conversation, and we'll see where it goes from here.
Before we get started asking questions of our data, I was hoping, Jacqueline, you could describe our customer support data architecture for our audience.
Of course. So I'm actually really excited about this vibe querying episode, mostly because one of the foundational pillars of being an excellent product manager is constantly assessing how your product is doing in market, not just through direct customer feedback, but who's asking for help the most. And that's kind of where this project was elevated from. I wanted to understand who was reaching out to our support teams the most, who was asking the most questions, and what are the common themes across all these tickets. And since our support team operates in Salesforce, which is incredibly convenient, as a product manager, I can use Claude to analyze incoming opportunities for sales, but I can also see what's happening to those opportunities and what is happening with our already contracted clients as far as technical support. So our customers email us directly at our support@cdata.com email. Our support teams then watch specific inboxes for our specific products. So like there is a sync question or sync technical support inbox. Our engineers go in there, pick up a ticket, and start working it. Now, all of this is done in Salesforce itself. There's the support UI in Salesforce where the engineers work directly with the customer. They can tag things like associated Jira tickets. They can change priority. They can get a hold of me, get my eyes on it. They can work directly with the opportunity, making sure that things like a single support ticket is not only linked across an account, but linked to an opportunity as well. So it just really allows us to get that vast look at how our customers have touch points with us across all of the different interaction points that include sales, solutions engineering, technical support, etc.
That's awesome. And I am very excited for this episode because I know how it ends. So knowing the ending is very helpful in this. But I think that is a good setup for us, Jacqueline. And we can get started with the first question.
Yeah. So one day I was playing in Claude and I just kind of looked around and said, I really need to figure out what our biggest questions to technical support are, mostly because not only to kind of keep an eye on where our customers might have the most difficulty in onloading a specific connector, maybe a difficult connector, but also are there consistent configurations or consistent settings or something that our customers have to touch every time in order to get to their aha moment or actually execute to a time to value. So I went into this thinking about how do I reduce the time to value and reduce the number of clicks our customer has in the UI to get what they need to do. So kind of the first question that I came across was, I need to pull and make sure Claude has access to all my support tickets for 2024. So I gave it a very robust, oh my gosh, I'm going to repeat myself again. I gave Claude a very robust prompt, such as there are no limitations, like Jared does. Do not limit yourself to tops, 20s, and 10s, but actually pull all the data for CData sync support cases. And then I followed up with, once it had the data and it knew where it was looking, for things like pull the most common error messages. So that's kind of where we started. These are really broad queries, but this helped me really narrow down going into the tunnel of figuring out where the most common themes were for sync support tickets.
That's great. And Jared has put in our first question. So Jared, if you could tell us what Claude is up to.
Yeah, absolutely. So, so because we present this tabular model, no matter where the data is stored at the back end, Claude is able to explore it pretty easily. So everything gets presented as tables and columns, questions become queries. And so everything gets run through. Claude is able to explore the list of all of the entities that are available in Salesforce. It identifies the cases table. It gets the columns from that. And now it's trying to find all of the cases from 2024 and 2025 where the group equals sync support. And while it's running, Jacqueline, I know that you've taken some of these queries that it builds and you're actually implementing them kind of as shortcuts in some of your other architecture.
That you got me. Once I realized that a lot of my queries became repetitive in that Claude was looking in the same place for specific endpoints or specific columns or variables within the Salesforce tables, I actually used Claude to map my tables for me. So what I did is I created a wiki that automatically maps parent tables to subtables that might have subtables again that have different deep variables, such as, for example, an account table mapped to cases table via the account ID. And then within the cases table, the details tab that has things like the technical support evaluation, associated JIRA ticket number, and these things, these fields, I need all the time. And so by pre-mapping where Claude needs to go, I can reduce the time for me to get my answers to a fraction, because then Claude knows exactly where to go versus the exploratory query that we're doing right now.
That's awesome. Sounds like a future Vibe Query episode to me.
It's fun, actually, because then you, in the process, you've created a tool for your team. I wrote up a Confluence for the product team, so now they can all use these shortcut maps, and you are more effective with Claude, and that is always helpful.
Yeah. So it's running some things. It's getting counts of different issues. We can see here that there's 500 authentication errors. It's identified 1,462 connection errors. So it's just kind of making up something based on its understanding of what problems a customer might run into as we go through.
Right.
So, and this is, you showed me, you actually shared your chat with me that you ran initially, and it looked very similar to this, where it was running query after query after query. But, when we talked, I guess, kind of in the pre-show about, having you on and what your experience was, this kind of exploration, can you dig into a little bit about maybe how long that would have taken you if you had to do it without Claude?
Yeah, so my background is in data science, so I actually understand what Claude's doing. I, on the side, have done this already. So when I started at CData 3 years ago, I wrote a Python script with NLTK in order to parse every single support case via a CSV document on my laptop. And with that, I pulled out something called n-grams. A gram is a specific word in a sentence. And then I pulled out the most common single n-grams, bi-n-grams, tri-n-grams. So I was able to restructure and output like the most common series of issues seen with sync. And after I did that, I was able to go in and pull those samples from the raw data that the NLTK kind of parsed and stuff like that. Took a look at all I took a look at the themes, went and found the example cases, compared the cases cross, like really human in the loop, using kind of my little script to do more about like creating the data for me to look at, versus I can give Claude very specific prompting instructions. I call it purposeful prompting. I need you to go look for this and return it, and then return where you found it so I can check your work. So it almost takes all of that leg work out from me and over to Claude, allowing me to make very specific decisions based on the output data instead of having to clean the data, review the data, and then make the decision. And then I elevated actually that to a group of people, and we were able to talk about some of the things we wanted to do with Sync. And that actually kicked off our project to revamp the entire Sync UI because of one of the themes that we found. And since then, we've redone the whole front end, and we've been able to incorporate customer feedback in the UAT phase and just done some really exciting things. So really having Claude on the back end now, being able to do this all over again, can just make our efforts even more succinct and purposeful on the back end, and making Sync a more powerful product for our users.
Yeah, that's great. And I know that your combination of background, Jacqueline, with your product management experience and your data science has really opened up a lot of doors on how you analyze, I think, the data for your product line, and obviously lends itself very well to figuring out how to do this with LLMs and the MCP servers. So I think it's kind of the perfect storm for some of these examples that we want to do, which I think is great. And I think for other product managers, the questions that you're asking are certainly things that they want to answer as well, but might not have the full set of technical skills or experience that you do. So the audience, and for whoever's listening, can kind of really benefit from the intersection of what you've been able to do across these different fields. So I think that's great. And I think that Claude is really taking his sweet time today on this answer.
He's working hard. I know that Anthropic has an announcement coming soon. I think Claude 4 is coming soon, and so I wonder if the systems are being tied up or whatever. But as it's doing all of this, Marie, I think one of the things that you identified about the capabilities of our MCP servers that maybe put us a step above what other MCP servers really do is to really move beyond just that action kind of agentic behavior where, an MCP server for Jira might be built around opening and closing tickets, updating a ticket, and things like that. And our servers support that kind of action. It looks like a database. You can insert, update, delete, and read things. But what we're seeing here is this, what vibe querying really is, where we're taking connection to live data beyond just actions, performing things, making my life easier, but actually putting some analytical weight and burden onto Claude.
Yeah, I think that's great. On the days that Claude feels like he can move fast enough.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it has lots of good questions.
That's good. What is it? Where is it?
We're looking at Java heap. We're looking for token type not supported queries. We're looking for failed to cache row query. It is diving deep into lots of different things after upgrading, looking for specific version numbers. So maybe in its queries, it identified a version number.
Yeah.
This is doing way more work than yours initially did. But it's kind of fascinating to watch it work. So trying to group priority.
Yep. This is great. So basically what it did, and we can talk a little bit through this if you want, I can see where it went. So based on what we're kind of like reading on the screen right now, it continued to find fields per ticket, and it didn't just stop at analyzing like activities within a case. It is now like cross-referencing the different fields by case, such as priority, such as like specific themes. And it's not just using the initial customer question or the initial error, but it's actually looking beyond that. It did not do this.
Yeah.
So it's really interesting though, because as it outputs, it'll be fascinating to kind of see what kind of map it logically decided to draw and make sure that that's the direction we want to go and see if we need to pivot at all.
Yeah. Because in your initial exploration, I don't think Claude sliced by data source either.
Nope.
Yeah.
No, it
fascinating. And it's funny because this is like verbatim the question from your chat.
Maybe it's because you restarted it.
It might be.
It's feeling like 1,000,000% right now.
Yeah. Oh, there we go. Analysis artifact.
All
right.
What do we got?
The moment we've been waiting for.
Oh boy. Here we go, Claude.
Failed cache row error. Seen that one.
Okay. Well, here's our conclusion, which I think is fascinating. So you want to start here, Jacqueline, and just give us your first thoughts, and then I'll shoot back up to the top.
Yeah, let me see if I can make this bigger. Yeah. The analysis reveals 75% from 3 primary licensing, connectivity, and authentication.
Yeah.
Implementing the recommended feature enhancements and default configuration changes could see. Default configuration changes, I'm telling you, can potentially reduce support case volume by 60 to 70%, while QA improvements would prevent critical errors from reaching production environments. I like it.
Yeah.
So what I did from this point, so this is a lot of information. It hasn't really like ranked anything in priority and stuff like, oh, there we go. Let's look at the high impact. Yeah. Okay, feature enhancements. Okay, so this is great, right? So we have this output of feature enhancements, configurations, QA enhancements, things that we can do on our side to make sure that our customers have a smoother experience. Now, what this doesn't take into account is like, I do not have an unlimited development team, right? I have a finite number of resources that can work on these issues. So my prompting from here, I started using Claude to make my roadmap priority for me. So I said, go back, reanalyze every single one of these elevations, number the tickets for each of them, and then prioritize this in low effort, high impact, medium effort, high impact, high effort, high impact, quote me level of effort weeks, so that I can manage my development team efforts accordingly. And that's when I started to really like get into validating the data, because I ask it to record the number of tickets per issue, give examples of error messages for each of them, so that I can make sure that it's not conflating specific error messages with other error messages, right? Because they're all kind of unique by source connector, and then see where it took me.
Yeah. All right. Awesome. So we can dive in with your further questions, or do you want to, like, is there something in here that you just want to just vibe with and drill into?
Do configurations. So configuration settings are always the easiest, right? That is like instinctively low-hanging fruit. So default configuration improvements is an excellent thing to dig into. Like, where are the what connectors are they related to? What are the configurations by connector? Give me example tickets, give me the number of tickets per configuration, and then we can really see that high impact, low hanging fruit, which is less clicks to get to value.
Okay, so give me the number of tickets by data source, or say that again.
Or destination. It can be a destination configuration.
All right.
And it's probably worth illuminating for the audience at this point that aren't familiar with Sync that it is an ETL ELT tool. So when they're talking about data source or destination, that's like the data source somebody is using in Sync, or the destination they're trying to copy data to. And that's why that is meaningful for us to understand support cases.
Yeah.
I wonder if there we go.
Authentication, credential related issues.
I'm really interested to see if it comes back with the same thing that it came back for me.
I hope so.
But what I think is really interesting, Jacqueline, and I think is great in this episode, is that you talk about all of the checks that you ask Claude to do to make sure that it is not filling in blanks or hallucinating in a way that it shouldn't, which I think is, a valid question when we talk about vibe querying, when we're kind of just working with this data and seeing it. It's kind of always like, what's the check to make sure that this is really accurate? Yep. And I think you do a great job of pointing that out as we go along. So Claude was much faster on this one. Let's see what we got.
And it actually did a beautiful insertion in the section of the document, which I love.
Cool.
So it gave us ticket counts. It gave us our most our connectors with the most common issues, and then the issues within that connector. So what's important here is now we're not talking like SQL Server just causes errors. Windows authentication as a primary default would improve the experience. Service account permission validation. This is something that I also saw on the other fix. Us being able to detect things like redirect URLs and actual permissions up front in Sync would actually reduce the back and forth that the users have with connections. This tends to be like a pretty common hurdle that they have. So I'm not surprised to see this at all. But what's most important is it just said authentication and configuration as a general topic. But look how nicely it broke down each connector with the most 3 top problems, right? Yeah. So now I have something I can take action on. And so for this, after it outputs this, I want it to give me the fixes. If we're so the problem and then the fix perfectly outlined. Because something like
so this is what you did, grouping by combinations of high effort, low effort, high impact, low impact.
Yep.
Yeah.
And the fixes that we're asking we're expecting it to actually read the support cases and know what the fix was. Wow.
Yeah, and you might even consider in our previous prompt, or like before we move on to like ranking problems, you would say, okay, great, you've given me my connectors with the top 3 issues. Export an example case for this specific suggestion, identify the problem and the solution in short order, like for a development team. And it can even go into that kind of detail. So then you've even started to create your tickets for development.
Yeah. So do you want to try that? Export an example case for the SQL Server Windows authentication problem.
Yeah.
And I was typing while you were talking, so I missed the last part. What else do you want to ask Claude?
Should identify a fix. I want to see if it can do it.
Yeah. So for SQL Server, export an example for case for SQL Server Windows authentication. Show the problem, identify the exact fix, and then outline the development work to make the configuration default or something like that.
And how does it know that last one?
Well, we're going to find out if it does, right?
Yeah, we will find out. That's true. I'm super curious.
Is that good? Export the example case for the SQL Server Windows authentication, show the problem, the exact fix, and outline the work required to resolve the issue.
I would be more specific than that. I would say the development work required to update the primary default. And so we'll see if it knows this. And so being so specific from like its output helps it like re-reference it, which is like context and like very purposeful prompting is what I call it. What's also helpful, Marie, to answer your question is that like I have my systems also set up to my sync product documentation.
Yeah, right.
So it does know, right? Like it knows the configurations per each driver and it can look and reference them, which is
look at that. According to your documentation.
Oh, it just did.
So this is the customer's report. Technical
but it got our
issue.
documentation. In this instance, it got our documentation off the web.
It did.
Well, so I think it the documentation was in the customer's report in Salesforce, and so it probably
email,
drilled down.
Whoa, Claude.
Yeah. So temporary solution was provided. Problems with the current workaround. All right, so exact fix required. UI component updates, some backend connection logic.
Yep.
Oh gosh, code.
It went straight into it, yeah.
Yeah, error handling, development work required. Is this real stuff? Are those like real files within the Sync app?
Probably not. It's saying that this is what your React UI might look like. And by probably, I mean definitely not, right? Yeah. It doesn't know our UI
Yeah,
code.
I was like, I guess maybe it could drill in somewhere, but
no, it's just given an example of like what a component would look like in the UI, but that's not our code, no.
Okay.
What about the effort estimates?
Yeah.
Let's take a look.
So front end change, do you feel like that's accurate? To update the front end for the SQL Server connection piece?
Yeah, probably 3 sprints. We have a design. So it just talks about coding here. Obviously, large enterprise development teams have different implemented. Like we have a UX designer, so this would hit him first. He would take a sprint to work on it. Then it would go to the development team. Then it would go to the QA team. So as far as like, it probably would take a sprint or 2 for the team just to develop the work. But we're not talking about starting with design and ending with QA. So you always need to take that into account.
Gotcha. Okay. Yeah. It even separated documentation and QA as a separate sprint.
Love that.
So eliminate 32 tickets per year.
Wow, that's helpful.
It is.
Because even if you're just trying to prioritize your work, Jacqueline, and communicate to other teams, like that's helpful to have, right? It's like, oh, everyone, this is worth our time and effort to focus on because it eliminates X number of tickets.
Exactly. The one thing that I made sure that I did when I did this exploratory work before I raised it to you guys, I said, hey guys, look what I found, was that exactly how much is our internal ROI on this? Like how much time are we getting back for our support engineers and how much time are we getting back from our development team? Because when you think about it, a support case doesn't just take up a support engineer's time. It might take up their boss's time. It might take up product's time. It definitely takes up engineering time if it's a defect, right? So you're talking about cross-team ROI because you've reduced the number of touch points that we have to engage with that customer or that specific problem.
That's great.
Yeah.
All right, Claude, I feel like you're paying off for the time you took on the first question.
Yeah.
Oh, that was funny.
Well, I mean, you got maybe one more question, Jacqueline, you want to drill into, or?
Sure. So let's see. We've talked about one connection property. We've talked about, okay. The next thing I would do is the final question. Rank these for me. So going back to Claude's original output, and I hope it's able to do this. Sometimes the context window is a little short. Going back to its original output from its original analysis, have it rank all work from low effort, high impact, medium effort, high impact, high effort, high impact. These are the only 3 buckets I ever touch, because honestly, low effort, low impact, high effort, low impact aren't really worth our time. So it's low effort, high impact, medium effort, high impact, high effort, high impact. And I make it group those things, and then I start at the bottom, right? What takes the least amount of time on our part to give our customers the most relief, give our support team the most relief. And that's how I prioritize it from a product angle.
Okay. So give me so I got your low effort, high impact. That's the one I understand the most.
Yeah, do moderate effort, high impact.
Okay.
And then do high effort, high impact.
Got it.
Yeah. And honestly, if you get free time, which I don't know, development never has, but if you get a little free time, you might grab one of those low effort, low impact things. But
oh yeah, sure.
This is where you start.
Okay, group the problems and fixes into low effort, high impact, moderate effort, high impact, and high effort, high impact.
I would suggest, never mind.
I can stop it.
I would suggest pointing it back to its original output. Say, go back to your original analysis report. Oh, you did that. Sorry.
Yeah, it's okay.
There we go. And now, it calls some artifacts. Okay. Oh, is it removing them?
Is it regrouping, adding?
I don't know what it's doing.
It's editing this document somewhere.
It's true. I know. Where is it? What's it doing? Oh, it's just, there you go. Bam.
Timeouts, unknown source licenses, SQL Server Windows auth, intelligent memory management,
batch size
optimization.
A good one.
There you go.
And now you have a starting point, right?
Yeah.
Default timeout configuration is one that I already have.
Nice.
And it gives you your case. What does it give you? Case impact. So a total number of cases, effort, and then a percentage estimate on ticket elimination for each.
Look at something as simple as an automatic trial extension reduces the ticket volume by.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
License ticket reduction. Yeah. Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, that's very actionable.
It is. It really is.
Yeah. Authentication management platform, advanced license management platform.
It did not come out with one of the things I thought for sure it would come out with.
Oh no.
Which is the default configuration of text size between sources and destinations. These never match, but there are custom text fields in almost every data source that we have. And so it suggested before to increase the default length to 4,000, and it would reduce something like 70 tickets.
Oh, wow.
That's it. Just change the default size of the column.
Yeah, that's amazing. I mean, like, I know from my role, the amount of time you spend looking for these things, the low effort, high impact things is meaningful, right? In everyone's job. But Claude just found it.
Right.
You know, maybe not all of them, but a very meaningful starting list.
Exactly. And to that exact point, you can start here, you can take care of specific things, and then you can restart this entire research, giving Claude parameters such as, we've already fixed all this, go find me the other ones.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You just got to keep coming back to it, right?
Yep. Yeah. So like we could hook in a Jira MCP server right now and say, okay, for these issues, check the sync project and identify which issues have, tickets that are already closed.
You don't even have to do that. You could literally make it go back and review every support case it's looked at, and those that had linked Jira tickets that were opened and resolved should be omitted from this list.
Oh, wow. Because our Salesforce and our Jira are tightly coupled.
Exactly. With every single case that has development effort in it, there is a link to the Jira effort, and then it can scan the activities with the customer to determine if a build was provided. If a build was provided, there was work done, that ticket is no longer valid as work, right? It can make that logical. Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah, that's what I did.
That's so.
All right. I think Jacqueline is the reigning vibe query queen. I think we should give her that title.
Yeah.
I'm excited. I'll let you guys let you know what I do next. We can do this again.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, yeah, I think that brings us to a wrap on this episode of Vibe Querying with MCP. Major thanks to Jacqueline for joining us today and earning her regal title, which she will hold for the foreseeable future. So thank you, Jacqueline, for all of your time in preparing and joining us today.
Of course, it was my pleasure.
Yeah, and thanks to all of you for watching and listening, or however you're consuming this content. If you want to see what your data is saying, you should hit up the free MCP server betas that are available at cdata.com/solutions/MCP.
And you can also come hang with us in our Vibe Querying subreddit or the CData community. We're talking queries, insights, and all things data in both places.
Yep. So until next time, stay curious and keep vibing.